Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm excited to show you two gorgeous collections from our friends at Ciao Bella. We have Frozen Land and Hot Cocoa and Holly. Each collection contains 32 pages, and they are packed with ephemera, stickers, and patterned papers. So let's take a closer look. We can start with our Frozen Land collection. So this is a junk journal and ephemera book. And you can see down here all of the components that you'll find in this collection. But let's walk through and we can take a closer look at what exactly is inside each one of these collections. So on the inside front cover, you can see you've got lots of cutout elements. The sheets that you'll see that have some shine to them, these are the sticker sheets. So all of these elements on here are backed with an adhesive, which means that you can just cut these out and use them on your projects. Then you've also got some cutout elements here too. You can see lots of ephemera in there. On the other side, you've got a patterned paper design. So this is the format of both of these collections, and we've shown some other Ciao Bella junk journal collections as well. And the format is similar. So you just have so much included in these packs. The artwork is gorgeous and everything coordinates really nicely. Here again is another one of those sticker sheets there too. Those are a lot of fun to use and I really like the format. So as you can see with this collection being Frozen Land, I think you get the overall gist of the look. I think it is absolutely stunning and works really nicely for all season long as you're going through winter. So not just good for Christmas, but throughout the winter season. And again, some more of those beautiful cutouts. The color palette makes it really easy to mix and match these elements too, so that you've always got something that will coordinate. This is a beautiful all-over design. A light in the window. You've got some hints of red in here as well, so that creates a nice contrast in with those icy blues. And here's another beautiful all-over pattern too. Another look at some of the ephemera cutouts. And not just cutouts, I suppose you could tear them out as well if you wanted to have another type of look. Now here we're coming toward the back, and I wanted to show you this sheet in particular. So these two pieces here are adhesive, so these are the sticker backgrounds, and you can use them to create a background. You can also, after you adhere them to a background paper, cardstock or paperweight, you can also die cut them. So it gives you lots of different possibilities there. Here's some more of those ephemera pieces, a little winter fairy, more of the stickers. And then coming toward the back, you'll see here it's a fold out page, multiple pages actually, and on these multiple pages you've got some cutout elements that you can use to create pockets and envelopes. And on the back of those you have an all-over print, so you can use whichever side you want. And then even the back of the collection is beautiful. So lots and lots of different creative possibilities with the Frozen Land set. Now, we've also got the Hot Cocoa and Holly, and this is a completely different style, which I also really love. So you can see the difference between that frozen icy elegance and our sweet and whimsical woodland creatures with their hot cocoa and their cozy aesthetic. I love this. Again, patterned paper as well as cutout elements here. Really sweet design. I love this. Great also, not just for the holidays, but throughout the winter season. So some specifically for gift giving, but I think you can always use teddy bears all year round, especially during the winter. Now again, we've got some of the shiny sheets here, which tells you that it is a sticker sheet. So again, you can just simply trim these out and use them on your projects as stickers. So some more sweet imagery there, some really cute little woodland creatures or critters. And again, lots of nice all over background pages. So the format is going to be the same, 32 sheets, and just so much that you can do with these. And again, beautiful artwork on here. I think the artists at Ciao Bella are just enormously talented because this is a gorgeous look and also a lot of fun too. These little guys have a lot of personality. So creating your coordinating projects is easy with something like this. Again, some more of the cutouts. Beautiful background. This blank side will tell you that the other side is adhesive. I really like too that you're getting a lot of sentiments that are easy to snip out from that adhesive sheet and add to your project. Let's see, we'll get some more sheets on here. Some portions that you can cut apart into sections to use, and then also some scenery items too. Now again, as we're coming to the back of this collection, another all over sheet, another sticker sheet with those two panels here again. So remember, you can use these for your backgrounds, do some die cutting if you want to. And then in the way back, you've got your fold out piece, some more ephemera sentiments, some really sweet tags. I think those are beautiful. And then an envelope that I can show you how to cut out, fold up, and use on your project. And on the other side is a really stunning scene. And again, the back of the collection is also something that you can put to use. So as you can see, today we have got beautiful papers and embellishments to play with. I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm so excited to explore the creative possibilities with you. So come play with us. Let's start with this card, which features a sweet duo as the card focal, simply die cut and added to a layered background. So let's have a look at how to put this together. First, I've covered the card front with burgundy cardstock, and this comes from the Christmas Cardinals cardstock pack. This is the cardstock that I'm using throughout today's webisode. And this burgundy and also this red worked really nicely with the colors in the patterned background paper. So I've got the burgundy covering the front of my card, and then that red here as my scalloped circle. And both of those are picking up tones in this background paper here. I added a layer of white vellum over the pattern paper, which ghosts it back a little bit, and then the folded over corner adds some dimension. So let's take a closer look. This is the pattern paper. I just think this is a really cool design. And again, so many different colors in there that you can pull from, whether it's burgundy, red, or the greens, or those golden yellows. And then just to take a piece of white vellum and overlay that, you can see how it gives you a completely different look. And of course, to fold over that corner gives you the best of both worlds. So you've got that ghosted background, and then you've also got the design as it is. Now, this is a technique that I like to do with pattern papers because it does give a really different effect. And I think here's another one that would be beautiful with a portion of the design showing and then this ghosting on the front. And then there's another sheet here that I have that I think this would also work really nicely. And then again, just to fold over a corner there would be really beautiful. And it gives you a little bit more depth and dimension in your design as well. So I've got the corner just folded over and tucked underneath this matted focal. Now the focal is die cut into 2 layers of circles, and this is using the circle and scalloped cutting die set. One of my favorites, 12 circle and scalloped cutting dies. So you've got a variety of sizes in here, all of those nested together so that you've got a smooth circle and then you've got the scalloped edge on here too. So I used the circle die cut to cut out these 2 from the background sheet, and that sheet is of course from the Hot Cocoa and Holly collection. And I inked around the outside edges. I'm using the Velvet Fawn ink pad from Hunky Dory for this. And that just creates a nice little bit of shading around the outside edge there. And then I've used some foam tape to adhere this to the scalloped circle. Now I do want to talk a little bit more about the circle cutting die. So I'm going to bring in just one of the shapes from the collection. and just show you how I use this. So with your sheet of cutouts, your ephemera images here, what I like to do is just grab one of those circles and kind of play with it to see maybe I could use this to die cut this little bear, or maybe this scene here. So with these images, don't feel like you have to necessarily fussy cut around every single element here. You can use those cutting dies to create your focal shape. So this would be one option. Here's another sheet, and I thought this scene down here would be really pretty to die cut into a circle as well. And of course you've got a variety of different sizes there, so you can play with which size circle you might want to use to do that cutting. So that's what I've done here. I've got my circle popped up onto this solid scalloped circle in there, and then I've also added some of the cutout elements from the collection, and these are popped up on foam tape. So fussy cut and popped up with some foam tape, and that creates a really nice frame, I think, around those two really cute characters. Then for my card inside, I have this large sticker tree, which I placed straight down on the inside panel of the card. Now the stickers also come on a sheet like so. You will have a full sheet in your collection, of course. And what I recommend you do is just grab your scissors and trim out the image that you want. If you plan on fussy cutting around them, it makes it easier to have it kind of chopped out of the background sheet to work on. And some of these have some pretty straightforward lines going around the outside, or perhaps they're circular. Even the poinsettias are fairly easy to cut out as well with scissors. Some of the elements like this one here, you may want to do a little bit more fussy cutting around some of those more detailed areas there too. You definitely don't have to go in between all of the very, very detailed portions though. And then some are going to be like this gift package, a little bit easier to trim out. And then when you're getting ready to position it down onto whatever surface you're applying it to, what I like to do is I keep both of the pieces together, so the liner and the sticker, and kind of figure out where I may want that to go, and then simply pop it down and smooth it down, and you've got a really pretty look ready to go. And then with the larger element, same thing. All you need to do is just peel that off. With the larger portions, I like to kind of start in the center and smooth out the various detail portions as I go to make sure that nothing gets stuck to itself. But as you can see, they're super simple to use, and they really do add a nice effect onto your card. So here I've just simply positioned that tree right down on the inside of the card, and then I've overlaid some fussy cut elements with the package and the frosty greeting on the inside. Our next card is also from the Hot Cocoa and Holly collection and features a similar layout to our first card. I've covered the front of the card with this gorgeous green cardstock and then added the pattern paper on top after inking the edges pretty heavily with the Velvet Fawn ink pad. Along the edge here, I have a wood grain piece of pattern paper. I just trimmed that into this narrow strip here. And then I've also got a thinner text border piece on top to create this side border. The focal is a really sweet image, which is simply die cut with the rectangle dies. This is another of my favorite cutting die collection, the 12 rectangle and scalloped cutting dies. So again, you've got the straight lines and then you've got the scalloped mat on there. So lots of different sizes that you can pick and choose from. And I just think this is such a perfect combination with today's ephemera sets too, because as we saw with this ephemera sheet with our circle die, and especially with an image like this one down here, you could cut it with a circle. You could also do it with the rectangle. And of course, with a rectangle, you can go sort of vertically or horizontally, depending on how you want to position this, so that you can create your own focal elements like so. Now that works beautifully for the scenery. It also works really nicely with some of the character images here, like this one up at the top. So I think this is a really sweet way to frame some of these images and to use them on the front or the inside of your card. Now, speaking of the card inside, my card inside has a special pop-up feature, as you can see here. This cute image of the two bears, and this is a really easy technique to do using the inside surprise card die. So let's have a look at that. This is the die set that I'm working with. And you can see here you've got 3 pieces included. You've got your label base, your label, and then your surprise mechanism. Of course, you have a project idea here on the front. And then when I flip it over, you've got some written instructions. And then you've also got your folding and your assembly diagram on here. Where you see the red indicated on here is where we suggest you use extra sticky tape. And this is just perfect for holding in that folding mechanism, because it will hold that in there securely so that your card can be opened and closed without that piece falling off. Now, of course, you've got your diagram on here, so that will make it easy, but I did just want to show this to you as well on my sample card. And this is what I do whenever I get a new folding die set from Paper Wishes. I always make up a model or a dummy run so that I can make sure I've got it exactly how I want it to go and how it's supposed to go before I do it on my real card. So what you'll do is die cut this surprise mechanism from your pattern paper or cardstock, and you're going to fold up the piece as indicated. It's all valley folds on there, and you'll align the top of this piece. It goes 1.5 inches from the top of the card. So that's what I've got indicated on here. And you'll glue this. This is the inside front panel of your card. What I like to do is use that extra sticky tape just to secure down this triangle piece. And you'll have that going right up along the inside fold of your card. And once that's secured down, then you can secure the rest of this down like so. And once you have that flap here glued down or taped down, then you can see how that will open and close like so. So I really do suggest start with one side and glue that down before you work onto the other side. That's just going to make everything a little bit easier to hold in there together. Now for your surprise, you can double mat things. This makes it really nice and easy. So you've got the same shape in 2 sizes. This is the label itself, and then you've got a larger size, which is the mat, and that will hold it together onto that folding mechanism. And then when you've got your card opening, you will have a piece that opens like so. So on here, I've used the white cardstock from our cardstock pack and applied the stickers. Those 2 bears go together as one sticker, and I've simply applied that onto the white cardstock. I inked around the outside edges with a Velvet Fawn ink pad, and then I foam taped it onto that base label. So I've got a little bit more dimension on there, and then added it onto my surprise mechanism. Now you'll notice that the surprise mechanism label portion extends past the top of the card so that when it closes, it can fit in without extending past the bottom. So it can open and close pretty easily there, and you don't have anything extending past the top. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're adding in other elements on here, you don't really want it to go past the top of this, because then it will extend past the bottom of the card. Before I put my surprise mechanism in place, I added my cardstock on either side of my card. So I've got some plain cardstock here on the inside back, and I've got a cute little stack of cookies there. That's one of the cutouts. And then on this side, I have some beautiful pattern paper that I've just simply glued right in there. You don't want to go over that fold of your card. It can create an additional bump and make it tricky to fold up the card. So I like to cut 2 separate pieces and then line those in there. So that's a really simple and fun way to create a special surprise for your Christmas cards. Our next 2 card projects use the Frozen Land collection. I absolutely love this pattern paper, and I thought it would make a beautiful background for our sweet fairy sticker, as she's our focal image here. So I've applied the sticker onto white cardstock and then die cut the paper with the elliptical dies. So this set, as you can see, it's got 5 nesting shapes, and these can easily be combined to create a matted focal like I've done here. Also, like Debbie has done on the back of the package. So you can see they create a really nice frame image. They can also be used both vertically, as I've done here, or you can position them horizontally as well. Another fun thing you can do with this die set is to use it to create a shaped card base by simply positioning the largest, or indeed any of the shapes, in this case I used the largest one, overlapping a little bit of the fold of your card to give you an elliptical shaped card base. So just another idea to keep in mind as you're thinking about ways to create a really fun focal element for your card. So I inked the edges with velvet fawn and then layered this piece onto the burgundy elliptical shape and added the entire thing to the front of the card with foam tape. Now along the edge I have 2 feather cutouts plus a key image here, which I fussy cut, and I've got the flower overlapping, and then tucked behind here is a large ice crystal, and they're all popped up on foam tape and grouped to frame the fairy. And then down at the bottom, I have the Winter Magic cutout, also popped up on foam tape. Then for my card inside, I have some more of that beautiful pattern paper, a little bit of edging with that burgundy cardstock, and then I've added in a cutout winter scene and a snowflake message overlapping. I made our final card to fit along with one of the cutout envelopes from the collection, and I love how Ciao Bella often includes foldable elements like pockets or envelopes like this in their collections. So I thought we could start with the envelope and then we can look more at our card design. So the envelope shape is from the inside back fold out portion of the Frozen Land collection. Here's the inside of it. And when I flip this over, you'll see the reverse side. So all you need to do is grab your scissors and cut around the outside edge there. Turn it over and then fold in the side flaps. And I do recommend you use your bone folder for this. This cardstock is a nice sturdy weight, and a bone folder will really help with this. So fold up the bottom and then you are ready to decorate. So on the front of my envelope, I don't have to do a whole lot because I've got a beautiful design already printed on here, as well as the postmarks and the postage. And then there's also a label down here at the bottom that is printed onto the cardstock. So you could leave it as is or embellish from there, as I did. And I've glued on this ephemera piece of this beautiful, very dramatic bird, glued straight down, and then I've foam taped on the quill and also the word journey there. And then on the other side, I've added a couple of snowflake stickers here, as well as a fussy cut open book ephemera piece. And I did leave this open so you could see how it all folds up together. I would recommend using that extra sticky tape on the side flaps here, and then you can simply glue this up like so. And then when you get ready to seal this, well, you could use one of the stickers from the collection to secure that down as well. Now we have talked with the ephemera pieces about die cutting out the shapes with the circles or the rectangle dies, as well as fussy cutting. I also wanted to point out too that you can tear out these images and they look really pretty as well. So here I've just used a damp paintbrush to go around the outside edge of this piece and then gently tore it out. And I think this would also make a really pretty card focal or decoration for the inside of your card as well. And you could ink around the outside edges or just leave them white as they are here, because I think this also looks really nice with that patterned background paper. So just another idea that I wanted to share with you there. So then to our card project here. Well, I did trim down our standard hot off the press card blank, and now this measures 4.5 inches by 6.25 inches, and I covered it with the blue cardstock. My card focal is another layered series of die cut shapes, and this time I'm die cutting the adhesive patterned background. So you may remember in both collections you've got large pieces of the adhesive sheets, which you can use as a background. You can also die cut them too. Now, the first thing to know about die cutting this material is that you need to first adhere it to cardstock or some other paper before you cut it. So I would not recommend trying to do it after it's been removed from that liner sheet. The other thing you need to know is that the color of paper you adhere it to will affect the finished look. So in this case, I'm using the same snowflake piece first applied onto blue cardstock, which is this one here in the background. And then for the bottom portion, the scalloped portion, this has been adhered onto white cardstock. So it's the same pattern, but I'm getting two completely different looks because of the cardstock I'm applying it to. So let's take a look at this here. I've got a piece of plain white cardstock, and then I've got another portion of this swirl paper. And when I put this down, I'm just going to walk this over, and you can see how this looks on white. So about the same as it does on that white liner sheet, so you'll know exactly which portions of that design will be standing out. Now, what happens if you put it onto a darker surface? It's going to mute back some of this design. So let's apply this on here, and you can see just the difference between the two of those. So depending on the look that you're going for, you may want to take into consideration the shade of cardstock you have underneath. And you can play around with a lot of different looks depending on what kind of cardstock color you have. Now the border I have going across here is also that same snowflake piece applied to blue cardstock and then matted onto white cardstock. And then in the center, I have a fairy sticker die cut into a square and matted onto a scallop square. And underneath, I've added the Hello Winter sentiment. This is another sticker. So it's a sticker layered onto another sticker design. And I also wanted to show you another look here too with those stickers. So this little fairy has been applied onto white cardstock. Well, this lady, I thought if I trimmed her out and put her onto a pattern background, I think this could also be really pretty. So let's have a look. I'll just peel her off here and then position her down onto this pattern background. And I think that also looks really beautiful. So it really just depends on the overall effect you're going for. If you want your image to blend into that background, you could go for something like this. If you want her to stand out as your focal, you could put her onto that white cardstock. Again, just depending on what kind of cardstock you're putting your sticker onto. So I think lots of different options there. Then for my card inside, I've got a beautiful crystal and flower sticker arrangement here, all one piece. So I've simply placed that down on the inside of the card and then added a sentiment cutout on top. And this is our final project of the day today. So a big thank you to our friends at Ciao Bella for today's gorgeous collections. They were so much fun to work with and so much fun to play with. And a big thank you to you for joining me today. We're really glad you're here, and we're happy you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.